Howdy, guys. Howdy. So anyhow, what I'm doing now? What am I doing now, you ask? I'm rewrapping, retwisting the black and red wire that I twisted before. Because now that there's a small plan here, game change. Come on, get out of there. I missed a twist. I can use these, and if I'm going to use them, I guess I'll just keep them together because it'll make it a lot easier when I'm trying to make everything work. Yeah. So anyhow, here's what I'm thinking, guys. We have a servo for each eyelid to go up, down, open and close. The old board had a button, a momentary on-off, for each one. So we're not using that anymore because it didn't work. So what has happened at this point in time we hooked up another module that has 4 channels. Now they did have an 8 channel at one time. And why do we have this with this? This broke. Well, that shouldn't have broke, but that means there's an end around here someplace. Okay. So anyhow, that tells me that we got to come back a little bit here, seeing that that's the case. Now, they had a lot of things working on here that really didn't need to do what it did. You know, like, there's just a lot of things. So an 8 channel would have actually gave us an extra 1 or 2 channels. They stopped making that. They came out with a 4 channel, however, and they're still making that one. And this is basically what it is, 4 channel. So we're short 1. So here's the thing. See, you used to be able to use the eyelids independent. So having a 2 channel on that would work. However, when you think about it, how often are we going to be doing this? It's either going to be this, or maybe this with a little wink every now and then, or something like that. Then there's another servo in there that would make the eyeballs move back and forth. The more bells and whistles, the more things that go wrong. Case in point, that's the problems. All this shit started going wrong. So we got to cut it back, simplify it a little bit, and hopefully make everything work. Now, everything that we've done so far has been one of these things to where it's tested and then we move on. We haven't had a chance to actually put it all together and do a overall run through. So that's what we're trying to get to at that point. So I need to check the battery first to make sure that the battery's up to snuff. I had it on the solar charge overnight, and it's been on the trickle charge about 30 minutes throughout the night. 15 minutes on, and then a couple, 2 or 3 hours off, and then another 15 minutes on. But the solar charger at night doesn't really work, but during the day, like now, it should be doing something. So I'm going to check to see. Okay, so right now, it's showing 13.4 . 4 volt. However, we're still hooked up to the solar charger. So let me disconnect that, like I just did, and see what we have for voltage now. Alright, we're showing 12.9493. Now, it seems to be going down, however, and there's no draw on it, so I wonder why it's going down. I wonder. Well, I know what I'm going to do. What are you going to do? I'm going to tell you. If I can get to it, I'm going to do it. There. Okay. Now that, and now let's find the ground. Put that back on here somewhere. Alright, so we seem to be holding. There is a small draw someplace, and again, that's probably in this main board someplace. So we'll have to find that, because nothing on over here is hooked up, and this is independent. So we shouldn't have to worry about anything going on over there. Alright, so let me turn the meter off for now, so we have to hear that beep. So here's what we need to do. Here's what one of my thoughts are. Getting back to these eyes. These eyes are both on the same pivot point, the same rod. And they're just kind of there. And each one has its own servo. See what I mean? There's one, there's the other. And they're on the same rod in here. The only thing is within here, they have these little pieces to support the standoffs, or whatever you want to call them, and they're holding these eyelids in place. Yeah, there's one here, and there's another one down underneath, under there. So what I'm thinking is possibly just bolt these two eyelids together. So we're only going to need the one servo and let them do what they need to do. So at that point, it would probably be okay. I'm just hoping that the servo, the one that's here, will be strong enough to operate both of them. Now, I'm thinking it would be, because they're pretty well free. You know, it's not like there's a whole lot of anything on them. So, if I mean, I'm moving that with no effort at all. So if I were to take this one off, leave this one hooked up, because this one's giving us a problem anyway. And again, it would be a way of saving some money. I wonder what they would ask for that servo. See, they changed a lot of these numbers to match, so it's hard to find the one that we actually need. Again, I think I'm going to do it my way. That's what I think. So let me see what I need to do, and if that servo, and I'm almost positive it would. Now there's a few ways of thinking about this. Do I want to just put a nut and bolt through these, which would probably be the easiest, fastest, and one of the best ways? Or do I want to run a rod from this one down to this arm? So when this rod arm turns, this one will turn with it. However, I'm going to have to disconnect it from the gearbox inside, so it'll turn freely. Otherwise, we're still having that same drag put on it. That's a lot of drag. This has an eyelid on it, and it's not dragging that much. Wait a minute. Ray had this off. Let me check something here. Yes, that. I need a Philip, but I need one that's a little bit bigger. It's too big. What about over here? That's not a Phillips. This one may do it. Let's see. I need one in between. That's the problem. Will this work? It looks like, no. This is a number 2. I definitely need one. I know I had one over here before. I probably put it back where it belongs. Probably. Hold on, guys. I'm still here. Walking around like my hair's cut off. Normal. Where the hell did I put that screwdriver? Hold on, let me go over here and see if I can find it. See, Ray was over here the other day. He's been here. He's been here 4 or 5 times. The first time he came was when I was working on the voice module, and he found a replacement real cheap on eBay, and he brought it over, and then I had to kind of modify it with the battery I was talking about, because I had a 9-volt battery input, and if they had to keep opening that up to change the battery, that would have been a problem. And I didn't want to destroy it and wire it direct, because if they had a problem with it, then they had no way of using it with a battery. So I took a 9-volt battery and I pulled it apart. I pulled all the inners out of it, and then I attached leads to it to bring the wire out. So the contacts on the battery, these contacts are on the battery, have wires coming off them in here. There's nothing in here. This isn't the battery, by the way. That's over there. So this here way, it plugged in and gave it voltage. Then I had to change the voltage out here because it was a 12 volt. I had to bring it down to 9 volt. So now this is plugged in. They should never have to take it out or change the battery. If in fact something goes wrong with the volts in the unit, meaning the battery in here or whatever the case may be, then if they want to unplug this and plug in a battery, they can still use the voice module and just let it sit. So I didn't want to destroy that, so that's what I had done. But anyway, Ray was over here that day, and then he came over the day with Tom, and we got the wheels put, or the axle actually put into the rear end box, which is also the battery box. And then he hung around for a few minutes. Ray gets tired quick. And then when he had left, what I did was, the next few days, was to adapt the wheels to the new axle. And then he came over when we finally started working on the wiring. Once I got it to here, he came over because we were working with these lights, the servos rather, for the eyes. This has been ongoing. And there used to be a little board right here, a control board that would operate these two servos. And the frequency was off, the transmitter wasn't working over there, it was the receiver, it wasn't receiving over here. There was a crystal in it which had a hole rusted right through it, all kinds of shit. So as I'm doing all this and working on getting the other stuff done, the pumps and all that, and getting these eyes freed up, he had said, how about if I take that board home with him and he can work on it at home? And that's what he had done. And then he calls and said that board is shot, so that's when he made up that little board that I had to put into this box. But then I had to make a change to it. Not to that board, but I had to add another board. Luckily, I had one that I made up 3 years ago. And because we had to drop the voltage, because the servos don't work on 12 volts, the timer. So at that point, we had to make sure that that was done. And then he came back when he brought back that other one, and then he again had to leave. Like I say, he gets tired out really quick. And then I'm waiting because he came over the day he dropped that off, the board. We were having a problem with that one servo because the eyes were going this way. Okay. Yeah. And he had taken this rod off, which holds the cable that operates the lid. And I noticed now that it was possibly backwards when he put it back on. So that's where we're at now. So I'm going to take that and check it. I have it off. I'm going to see how we're going to put it back on, because there's no keyway, so to speak. It's just a gear. So I got to kind of figure out where that gear is going to be the freest and easiest to use. So let me get that screw out of there. Let's check with this first. Yeah, well, I don't know. Everybody does things different. That's the way the world is today. Now, if that is in the position that it needs to be in, if that's its neutral position, this rod should go right about there. No, maybe that's a little too far. I gotta find out where neutral is on that thing. That wasn't neutral. That wasn't its standoff or shutdown. Okay, there it is. Okay. So now, if we put that here. Now with that being there, I gotta get this powered up. It's not going to do anything for me until I get it powered up. Because I got to be able to check the power to find out what that servo's doing. If it's going to work, fine. You know, I'm going to use it. But if it doesn't want to work, then I'll just put a nut and bolt through these eyes. Well, I'll put 2 pair so it'll be stable. But again, I want to check it to make sure. This is what takes time, however, because, you know, everything has to be checked, double checked, what check, if check, check. You know, I mean, it's just one of those things. And it just takes time. I mean, I don't know. I've been talking back here, a lot of unnecessary talking when I could have been working, but I'm just trying to explain to you what's going on, because if somebody else does have to work on this, you know, I want them to be able to see or know what I've been doing, so they have an idea, so hopefully they don't have to go through this again. and start where I had to start, with nothing. Okay, now I'm going to leave these wires long. I'm just going to strip them back. Gotta turn these down too. It was cold when I came out here. I didn't get out here until a little after, well, around 11:30. And then the first thing I had to do, though, was write a report to the commander, because Ray is thinking about stepping down from his position. And if he does, we need to refill it. And if we refill it, like a cup of coffee, huh? If we have to fill the position. So if we do that, he does have somebody that's been asking what they have to do in order to do what he's doing. And there's only one FSOCM in each flotilla. And he was the one. He was the CM for that flotilla. And at that point, if he steps down, they're going to have to find a replacement. Otherwise, all that falls on me. Well, it doesn't really fall on me, because there just won't be any reports coming in over there. So there won't be anything coming in involved with anything with emergency communications. Nothing will be working over there. So when I fill out the report, I would just put in my report that nothing's been reported, from the 2401 or whatever, 2402, 08, whatever one it is. Now there are flotillas out there, like Stratford, for instance, that have nobody filling that position. The commander at the time was going to take and carry that. That's why Ray and myself were out there for 3 days, 4 days, getting the system up and running, and then the commander never followed through with it. So we basically got something there that we did. I built an antenna and all that kind of stuff, and it's just, that was 4 wasted days. And that pisses me off. Gonna do something, fine, stick with it. I know sometimes things change a little bit, and I can understand that, because situations change. But continue on, get back to it. Don't just say, oh, never mind, I ain't gonna worry about it. Especially after you had people go out of their way to help get you started. Come on, are you tightening up or are you just breaking my balls? Apparently you're just breaking my balls. Excuse me. My scrotum. My testes. My love muscles. Okay, so which way did this go here? This one wants to work in reverse. Okay, so why do you want to do that? Alright, we'll work it your way. I don't care, I'm easy. Just let me know which way you want to do it. Now, if I'm lucky, what's that? No, this one goes there. Now I still have another power here. What was I going to hook that power up to? I know I saved it. Oh, the pump. Pump. The pump. Okay. Now this ground, I could either nickel it in with that one or bring it over to that one. The more I snuggle it into this one, let's see how much room is in there. I might be able to put these together. There might be enough room for that. Let's see. I think there's enough room for this. I just don't know if there's going to be enough room for this double wire with the casing getting to the first opening so that the rest of this comes down into the second opening. Good. 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 Okay. So we're all good. Yeah, right. Okay, so now let's see what we have here. Let's get this fuse. Well, maybe I shouldn't worry about that right now. Maybe I should just take this one. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. Let's take this one and bring this over to here. This one comes through here, up to here. That's the positive. And the negative, I think, is already hooked up. Yeah, I think so. Not positive.